Hello gamers, this is Tidman speaking. Hello gamers, this is Tidman speaking. Up next is one of my tracks, To the End. If you'd like to hear more of my music, visit soundcloud.com/Tidman, would you kindly. Enjoy the show here on Lave Radio and fly safe. SoundCloud.com/Tidman, would you kindly. Enjoy the show here on Lave Radio and fly safe. SoundCloud.com/Tidman, would you kindly. Enjoy the show here on SoundCloud.com/Tidman, would you kindly. Hello gamers.
The Lave Radio Project was our last best hope for news. A self-contained podcast 2 hours long, located in neutral territory. A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads, community members and developers. A shining beacon in space, all alone on a Tuesday night. It was the dawn of the third chapter of Elite. The year's space legs came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 365 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix to Fire, and joining me in the Orange Sidewinder Bar for this episode, we have our Head of Health and Safety, Commander Ed Levice, otherwise known as Ben Moss Woodward.
I'm back, baby!
I thought we were supposed to have some kind of round of applause ready lined up for him. No?
More like just kicking me out again, yeah. Piss off, you're not welcome around here! Yay. Get away, you traitor!
Woohoo! Is that sufficient? That's about the energy I can muster. Is that okay, Ben?
I felt the enthusiasm and the love.
I'm so glad!
It sounds as though you're about as welcome as Macron at a British fishing market.
Oh, a little bit of politics straight in. And that is our Human Resources Director, Commander Shan.
Hello. I'm
and
good
also
this week.
Good at what? And then we also have our staff liaison officer, Commander Psychic, who's all dinosaured out.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I washed that off straight away. Holy crap.
Are you calling a Psyche a dinosaur?
No, I put I had reptile makeup on today.
That's ironic coming from you, Shan.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you more dinosaured out than Dahlia?
Dahlia had temporary tattoos. I did sort of like reptilian style makeup for it.
But did you go out onto public transport as well?
Hell no! I did that in the comfort of my own home.
Public transport as well. Fair enough.
Hell no!
Wait. Oh, we do seem to have a little bit of echo going on.
That was a huge echo, quakey.
Yeah. We do apologise that. Ben, are you streaming anywhere today?
I shall be. I don't actually know where I am. As you know, Colin, I got back from various pieces of DIY and real life and things like that. At about what time did we start playing Bridge Crew last night? About 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
So I got back from being away at about 8:30 last night. I had enough time for some tea, and then I was playing with you, Colin. So I am somewhere in game. I will find out soon, and I may or may not be streaming. Well, I am streaming. Right. I may or may not be being picked up by Poot.
So Ben, last time we spoke to you, you were on the verge of choosing a kitchen or a bathroom or something like that. Is that correct?
A living room, but yes.
We need a living room update, Ben.
Yeah, I can do a living room update. So, said living room is now stripped back to bare walls and concrete floors. It's very echoey. And when I go back up again this weekend, it will be getting flooring. Somebody's painting it tomorrow, I believe. So I don't have to do any painting, but we'll be getting floors, doors, and curtains and carpets. No carpets. I think we're getting laminate down.
So you've left your family to spend their free time in a room that's devoid of wallpaper, furniture, carpets.
Yes.
Nice to see you getting back to Victorian values there, Ben.
I did offer I did suggest to my wife, why don't I stay up this week too? Everything got pushed back because of various reasons. So all our stuff was meant to be being put in last week, but everything got delayed by a week due to other people that we were relying on having real life issues, pushing them back a week. So everything else got pushed back a week. So I should have been with them in said Victorian conditions. But I did offer to stay up north this week as well. But the wife was like, no, God, piss off, back to Birmingham.
So are they sitting on garden furniture in the lounge then?
No, they're basically snuggled up in their beds watching TV up there. Which is about normal for my son, to be frank.
See, the thing is, though, you'd say, why am I spending all this money on redoing the lounge when you seem perfectly happy to spend time in your bed watching telly instead?
Your point?
Well, anyway, in as we've got nobody streaming, you can't join us in game.
I am in game, and I'm actually in Jameson Memorial.
Right.
Just like looks like Putnik isn't picking me up yet.
Ah, I see.
So.
Well, that's where Ben is. If you can't get to where Ben is,
I will come back to Lave. I will come back to Lave.
If you can't get to where Ben is, you can always join us in the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go straight to twitch.tv/laveradio, or go to YouTube, or go to Facebook. So, yay! So what we'll do is we'll do a quick round. I mean, we've got a little bit of a catch up with Ben already there, haven't we? apart from all the DIY, Ben, was it you really haven't had a chance to catch up with anything like Update 8 or anything like that, have you?
I've no idea what's going on. I know there was an update. I know because I had to do the update earlier. Mm-hmm. I did go and see the Eternals, and I understand why some people are not liking it.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed it. The movie is basically the Book of Genesis for the MCU. Except you're reading the Book of Genesis and all, in the beginning there was, right after, I don't know, whatever the best part of the Bible is.
Right, gotcha.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. For my Genesis stuff, I prefer Good Omens. But anyway,
Good Omens works too. I do enjoy some Good Omens. There's a season 2 of that coming up, isn't there?
There is, which is going to be, we'll touch on that another time. Right, Psyche. Apart from cleaning up the dinosaur remains, how have you been?
I'm good. I managed to get the. All my elite time this week has been spent getting doing transport and hauling just enough. I managed to get all of the frameshift drives that I needed. I managed to get in, so I was very happy about that. But other than that, I've just been playing like an awful lot of Jurassic World Evolution, which has been really, really, really good. And I've also found the joy of oversized blanket hoodies.
Slankets. Is that what you've got?
No. It's like
them as well.
It's like
explain these things.
It's like an hoodie, but it's not an hoodie. It's a UK based manufacturer. It's like, you're sat in front of a computer. They're oversized hoodies. Basically, they come in one size. They're absolutely giant, and they're like really fluffy. It's like a
fluffy hoodie,
fluffy hooded muumuu kind of thing. It comes down to my knees. It is like wearing a blanket. It is wonderful, and I love them, and I overheat in them all the time because I get so cozy I forget to take it off.
Okay.
And it's totally my husband's fault because he wanted one first.
Oh dear, someone's been
armholes, or are they? Or
because if they have armholes, they're a slanket.
No. They like, it's like a full hoodie. It has a hood, it has arms, it has a big pocket at the front, but it's just like massive. It's amazing.
Can't you just go and buy a bigger coat?
I'm not outside. I'm not going outside, Shan. It's like a dressing gown, but without like having to worry about a dressing gown. They're amazing.
It's like having to worry about not wearing a dressing gown and also not having to worry about the gas bill.
Exactly.
So
especially in this day and age, Colin.
So without inviting a Ben innuendo, so Ben can be quiet, what do you wear underneath it? Is it like a kilt or something where you never talk about what you wear underneath it, or what?
I mean, the options are endless. You could wear whatever the hell you want because you'd never see it.
Right. Well, we'll just leave that up to the chat room's imagination.
I am tempted to agree with Chris here, our lovely tech gibbon.
Yes.
And he's basically suspecting that a warehouse went off and overordered on the
American
American side.
I've never heard of these.
I have heard of them. My wife wears them and loves it.
They're amazing. They're actually amazing.
So how sustainable are they?
Is this the kind of wearing one of those and you've also got the big slipper with only one hole?
Don't most
You get-
slippers only have one hole?
Yeah, but no, this is the big slipper. You can put both feet into one hole.
No, I wouldn't be able to walk around. I like to sometimes I like to move. I know it's a shocker.
Aha, I seem to be on stream now.
Oh, excellent. Well, there you go. You. Oh my God! Is
That's
that
literally what I'm wearing right now, and you guys can't see it.
wow? Yes.
It's amazing, and the stars glow in the dark.
I'm sorry.
Can
That,
you-
that looks like a cheap.
Dark.
That looks like cheap Gandalf.
They're
Actually,
amazing.
what you need to get an orange one with a white stripe around it. So when you squat down, you look like a traffic cone.
Oh dear. Okay, Shan. What
Are
have
the
you?
arms elasticated or something to stop them? Because I can see the practicality of it, I can see the benefits, but I just think the arms would just really get in the way of actually.
So the
trying to do
cuffs are
anything.
elasticated. The
Yeah.
cuffs are elasticated, so they're like a normal human being's side cuff, but everything
How-
else is oversized and blankety and lush.
So how do you fiddle with your phone or your iPad?
Well, because I've got
Your hands are free.
hands.
Yeah, but your hands are covered. You have to expose your hands to the cold air of Ben's stripped room.
Shan,
Well,
Malarkey.
well, I mean, being able to access my phone and use my hands and have them slightly colder than the rest of me is a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Well, yes. Well, welcome to keeping warm this winter with Lave Radio.
So the
Look,
so-
gas
so the-
prices are really expensive. Gas
They are.
bills are going up. So buy one of these. It's an investment.
So if that's the case, then why is the model not wearing any trousers or tights or anything like that? Why has she just got a pair of socks on?
Because they're
She's
really
very-
warm, Shan. They're really warm.
It's like
It
it's like wearing.
cold.
It is like wearing a kilt. No matter you are really, really warm, yep, you don't feel it on your legs, even though your legs are bare.
And also, Shan, you are assuming that the rest of us are also wearing trousers.
Moving on, Shan, what have you been up to this week?
Well, in lieu of the main topic which is coming up, I have been doing some engineering, both ship-based and on foot, so I can remind myself of the process of engineering. So that's what I've been doing in game, and out of game, I have been planning our holidays for the next few years. The next holiday we've got planned is a trip to Chernobyl with myself and eldest Minnie Shan, if we both want to go. Then we're probably going off to Iceland for a week, fly drive holiday around Iceland.
Nice.
And we talked about doing the 2 million challenge, which basically you go to places where there have been incidents that have resulted in lots of people dying. And if you add up the totals, it comes to 2 million.
Is this places where you have been responsible for their deaths, or just
No, because I'm a real fan of history. I like history, and all things like that.
Yeah.
So, and history and unfortunately people dying go hand in hand with each other. So the most interesting places in history tend to be the places where there've been the most fatalities.
So obviously a tour around the World War One battlefields, visits to concentration camps, and then maybe down just stopping by Vesuvius.
Possibly.
Pompeii is nice.
Possibly.
My mother also wants to go visit Auschwitz. And I mean, I do think there is
Oh dear.
there is a good thing about remembering the shite that we done.
Yeah, I mean, the Auschwitz is definitely on the list because No, because there are some things I think you just have to see.
No, I can
never
actually
forget.
agree with this, Shan.
You know, you just can't. You can't ever allow yourself to forget. That sort of
No,
thing.
I completely agree with that. It's just that doesn't. It just doesn't sound like my cup of tea for just relaxing.
I mean, I hadn't actually thought about the Somme and things like that, but I mean, obviously, one of the things I have wanted to see, now we're allowed to fly out there, is I want to see Ground Zero at New York. So I want to
Yeah.
see that. I think that would be an interesting place to go to. So yeah, we've just been adding up. I mean, Fukushima is the other one you could potentially go to. But yeah, so there's all these places that I would find personally really interesting. But then again, Mrs. Shan just wants to go to the Maldives. So
You've
I'm with
you've
Mrs.
got-
Shan there, I think.
Oh, where the Spanish conquistadors in Brazil and things like that, Shan.
well, you could go to Machu Picchu, isn't it? Is that the one with the human
Yeah, that's
sacrifices?
what I was thinking.
Yeah, that sort of thing. So I've got
I've
a
been
list of.
What
Go
about
on.
going to like a part of Italy that's near Pompeii or something, and then getting the best of both worlds?
Well, I have wanted to go to Pompeii because when I saw it on
think
Blue Peter
Pompeii
as
is
a kid,
amazing.
Pompeii is
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
so I want to go there just to see the sort of people, but also because we've got the time and stuff like that. Hiroshima was on a list as well. I think that would be really, really interesting to go to Hiroshima. And I know it may seem dark and dim and a bit kind of thing like that, but I just find from a history point of view, I find that sort of thing way more interesting than Disney World.
Yeah, no, I can agree with this.
I mean, yeah.
Oh,
Well, I
another place as
suppose.
well.
I suppose I can understand, and it is important to remember these things. And sometimes the history document, the History Channel, just doesn't cover what you really need to do. But personally, I think I'd rather go to the Maldives and watch horrible histories on DVD.
Well,
Maldives
not
while
me,
you can.
Mister. Yeah, and that's the other thought you see, because the list we've got. I mean, you've got the Maldives are slowly disappearing thanks to rising sea levels. So I was waiting to see what happened with COP26 to see whether that was likely. So it looks as though the Maldives is going to be going away reasonably soon. And the same with the Amazon rainforest. Always wanted to go there. And the other place I wanted to go was the Galapagos Islands. But according to Mrs. Shan, that's full of plastic waste on the beaches now. So we've kind of missed that one.
Yeah. Van Otter is saying, as put in the chat room, can he interest you in a piece of real estate near Chernobyl?
Oh, I'll let him know because we're going there.
Right. Well, on that uplifting note, I'll quickly pop over to what I've been doing this week. Well, this week I've finished. We've mostly finished doing the study. We've got a study update. If you like, we've now got a new. Like I said, spent a lot of time assembling cabinets and things like that. In game, I've gone power play mad. My power play commander, for some reason, something major has happened in the wonderful world of power play. The one alliance power, Mahon, has just roared ahead with in the ratings. We don't know. Well, all the other powers don't know how, and we're basically trying to rally the troops and trying and getting ourselves back into a place to compete with them. And we go, it's a tough one. And I don't know whether or not it's because we've been losing players or whether or not something's happened or people have defected over there. It's yeah. So I've been running around fortifying systems. I've actually been going and attacking other powers' transports, which is a great deal of fun because I can be a pirate and not feel guilty. I can be a murdering pirate and not feel guilty. Yeah, so I'm racking up the power play vouchers at the moment. Which
So what's the power play reward for Mahon, the Alliance?
well, that's the thing. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. He's got some kind of heat cannon.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And yeah, that's it. For some reason, he's top of the pile, followed by Hudson of all people, and then the Emperor. It's always between those three anyway. But for some reason, he's just racing right ahead, and we're all trying to catch up. Which yeah, I've also done a bit of Odyssey, and yeah, we'll touch on other things that I've done later in the show. So, with that, we'll move on to the development news. We touched on this last week. It has been Dr. K's final goodbye was found. For those of you who have not seen it, yeah, I think it's best to leave it for you to discover for yourself. It's a nice little message and quite appropriate, especially considering Elite. So we move on to Thursday, which was a low run, as hosted with Bruce and Zach. And they had Beetlejude, Witherspoon, and who was the third guy? Was it Grinning Crow?
Grinning Crow, yeah.
Yes.
Crispy couldn't make it.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Crispy Tater Tot, but I got obviously mixed up. Yes, so they were discussing a lot to do with Thargoids, I believe, and getting quite into it. Plus, also, we do believe there was a little bit of a slip-up.
Tell on.
Well, when you listen through, it does seem that one of the CMs may have dropped a hint that we might be getting on-foot Thargoid combat.
I mean, that's inevitable, isn't it? But when we...
Yeah,
that's
no,
clearly
they're not
where
admitting
it's
it, are they?
heading. Well...
To be fair, I would be more surprised if they said we weren't getting it.
Yes. I mean, I would be.
Because if you remember, there were the models that were shown in a leak, wasn't there? And a while ago, showing what looked like Thargoids on their own.
Yeah.
And
but that came from the leak, though, didn't it? And people data mining.
Yeah. So I would be surprised if we didn't get it. I mean, the big question about Thargoid combat is where and how will it be? What will Thargoids have guns, for example? Or will they just spit acid and dissolve people like in Starship Troopers?
Or just be very, very fast off the ground and pierce you to bits. Because didn't they do that mostly in Starship Troopers as well? Or was that Aliens?
No, the bugs, the normal bugs, would sort of like pierce the troopers, wouldn't they, through the chest and then rip them up and stuff. And it was the big fire bug that kind of dissolved people, didn't it?
Yes, there was a certain kind of big bugs that that could even take out ships in orbit. Oh, that'd be fun.
although I kind of think players would be a little bit frustrated if they were as much of a bullet sponge as the bugs were in Starship Troopers.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? It took 5 troopers, I think 3 mags to take out 1 bug. That was phenomenal.
It seemed like it. Like, what's the point of even giving them guns if they're going to take that long to kill? But anyway.
Well, now you've got a reason for engineering your guns. Oh dear, and we'll touch on engineering later. I found it a very good stream. It was very good humoured, and it went into some really tinfoil hat areas. Bruce had his best poker face on him. In fact, at one point I was worried because I didn't know whether or not his screen had frozen. All I can say is I don't want to play poker against him. Anybody else catch it?
I was dipping in and out. I was doing some other editing stuff, but what I saw was really good. Yeah.
And moving on, we had obviously Friday's Commander creations, which were a lot of nice posters, and someone had done a Fer-de-Lance in another game. And there was also the quick fix that came out for the settlement stuttering. Now, this for me was an absolute winner because Update 8 was working fine apart from the bloody settlements. And then all of a sudden this just fixed the whole thing. And it was great.
So you kept the same level of detail. It's just an increasing. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So basically, I'm now able to run at mid... On my graphics card, I'm able to run at mid-detail at 1080p and still manage to get between 40 and 50 frames a second, which for me is absolutely adequate.
So
Doesn't bother me at all.
have you tried to crank the detail and or the resolution up to see what happens?
Well, I can't crank the resolution up any higher, and if I do crank the detail up to high or ultra, then it drops to about 3 or 4 frames. So that's a big no. I also found out that I can't play in VR in Odyssey because, my setup at the moment is just barely adequate to play Horizons. So I thought I'd give it a try, and yeah, the frame rate was so awful. I went, nope, that's VR out of me until I get a new rig. So, yeah, that's been my experience so far. Let's see. We also had a community stream for today with again Zach and Bruce, mostly discussing a lot of the things that the community have come up with obviously the weekly picture of Beetlejude. They're going to have to give her a separate section, I think, of each of those streams, just because it comes out, and it was an oil painting. I thought it was a chalk.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh my
thought it
God.
was chalk.
I know she's so talented. I've got probably about 5 Beetlejuice pictures sat waiting for frames, which I need to get my ass into gear with frames for this house, but sat waiting for frames to go up because they are just so stunning. She's such a legend.
Yeah, I mean, when she painted the Asp Explorer model for me and sent that up, I had a nice surprise of a Beetlejude painting myself. So I've got that hidden away, ready for a frame. So yes, star of the community, and you'll hear more of her later. Right. On other news, we have another stream coming up this Thursday, which I think is just going to be the guys doing Odyssey missions, which, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they come out with. And Zach today confirmed that the next time they go through the list of the top 20 issues list, that will be coming on the 16th. They've moved that back because to another week because they say they weren't getting the feedback they needed from the previous release, if you see what I mean.
Did they outline what feedback they expected? Because we'll touch on this, I think, with the main topic, but when they say please give us feedback, it always strikes me as the quality and format of the feedback they get probably isn't much benefit to them, even if what the people are trying to say is.
Well, normally the feedback in the issue tracker is normally a lot more technical, and is normally a lot more helpful than the feedback they get from the focus feedback forums. So, plus also it gives them an idea of which is the most important to the community, even though some of them you do look at and think, yeah, who's really wanting that? In other news, the Steam chart numbers have now continued to rise for the third week in a row. Player numbers are now 4.8% higher than September's figures. So that's that's a positive. And of course, we didn't finish our discussion last week about the fleet carriers. And one thing that surprised me was that before they had said the narrative would end at some point towards the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. It now looks as if they're going to extend that well into 2022. So I think, as far as this Azimuth storyline that they're working on, it's about halfway through.
So do you think it's because the rate of progress on the story is slower than they expected,
No.
or because as they've gone along, they've kind of had a burst of creativity and gone, well, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and it's just expanded.
No, I think it's entirely related on the fact that at the moment they're not giving us CGs for that are CGs that are just solely in Odyssey, because the console community do not have access to Horizon to Odyssey yet. So there will come a time when they give us CGs that are more weighted towards Odyssey. However, until everyone has equal opportunity to buy it, they won't do that. And I think some of the story that they had planned definitely
being padded out, really. Isn't it?
Yeah. They the story that they had planned and everything that they had in the bracket probably, and this is obviously it's complete conjecture, but probably has some on-foot Thargoid combat involved in it. If you're looking at the story that it currently is, probably has something along those lines, and they're not going to be able to offer that until they can offer Odyssey even as an option to console players.
Just as a quick aside, just to the chat room, I would like to congratulate Karash for, first of all, joining us, and secondly, for the best humble brag I've heard so far today. He says, I am using an RTX 3080, and I went from 9 frames a second to 90 frames a second in one settlement. Git. And I'm stuck on a 1050, for goodness sake.
All Crash needs to do is say, oops, typo, I meant 90 to 95 FPS. It's like a typo.
Oh dear. I'm in the process of actually assembling components for a new desktop, and then I got to the present price of the graphics cards, and my jaw just went, well, won't be getting any of them just yet. So, I mean, the fleet carriers themselves, I take it that we've kind of worked out what room on the concourse is going to kind of match with the room in the facility on the carrier. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only one that does get me is the secure cargo. Is that all just going to be managed via the bartender or something?
I don't know. I mean, the bartender also serves as a materials trader.
Yeah.
Don't they? So I don't know, because you have to think, well, if you've got a materials trader who's the barman for Odyssey, why can't you have a materials trader for Horizons stuff as well?
Yeah. Just as a quick aside, Commander Humbo in the chat, I'm not actually complaining about my 1050. I'm actually quite grateful for it because it was given to me. But I'm not slagging it off. It's just I'm just jealous of Crash.
What you need to do, Colin, is you need to buy a whole new PC with the graphics card you want in it, then sell the PC and keep the graphics card.
Yeah, apparently the Dow Scotsman says, "Oh, cheer up! I don't need both kidneys." Actually, I do. I'm that old.
What do you offer to decorate Ben's living room?
With what?
Whatever Ben provides you. I mean, I'm sure
With
Ben's
your
got
kidneys,
some.
obviously.
I'm sure Ben's got some mirrors you can put on the ceiling for him or something.
Not in the living room.
Right. Let us go over the in-game events which have happened this week. Right, there's actually quite a bit of a breakdown here, actually. Last Wednesday, or the 3rd of November, 3307, it does seem that demands for federal rebellion have declined. It does seem that since the Jupiter division was hammered by this spy network, that a lot of people went, oh, maybe it's a good idea after all. And yes, however, somebody did a nice bit of analysis to show that actually the Federation has lost half its systems since the game was launched in the last 7 years. For the Empire has stayed stable, and a lot more independent systems have risen. The Alliance hasn't done too well in, but it just got me the fact that the Federation was at the beginning of the game was twice the size of the Empire, and now they're on par.
All I can say is it serves the Federation right for kicking me out of their systems when I was trying to be neutral and independent, and they were like, "No, we caught you carrying some, what the hell are they called? Occupied escape pods. Therefore, we don't want your salts around here. Sod off."
How long ago was that, Ben?
2012, 2013? Yeah.
Yeah, 7 years ago. Yeah, okay.
I don't hold grudges.
Yeah, it just surprised me, the fact that I've always got in my head that the Federation is this massive power, but it's shrinking at an incredible rate, and it doesn't look like it's stabilizing anytime soon. Yet I don't think that's actually been reflected in the plot so far. Obviously, the next thing that came along was the Colonia Bridge Project Phase 2, which was a CG this week. It was completed incredibly quickly, especially in the bubble. I think by Saturday morning it had completed.
Mhm.
You managed to get your
Yeah, by the skin of my teeth.
yeah, that was when did you manage to get it just in time on Saturday, did you?
No, I did it on Thursday. I streamed Elite Thursday and Friday, and it was literally all I did was hauling.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, I was watching Fiery Toad, him who does a lot of fantastic work with voice packs. He had decided, right, since the CG had ended and I haven't got what I needed, I'm going to go and do the one in Colonia. And I managed to see him leave the bubble and get to Colonia in less than 3 hours.
Can I just actually quickly chime in and say happy birthday, Toadie?
Oh, is it his birthday today?
I believe it is. I could be completely wrong, but I believe it is.
Well done.
So if it is your birthday, happy birthday. If it isn't, oops.
Yeah, so that's the first time I've seen a Colonia speedrun, and considering that I'm still got 15,000 light years still to go, I've only done 6,000 since Lave in my 24 light year clipper. It's oh dear. I've got a long way to go for that. Obviously, on the 5th of November, the Aegis leader decides to oppose salvation. The main question I've got to ask is, has Admiral Tanner gone nuts?
Yes.
Very tentative, kind of.
Well, a little bit, yeah. Because it's like Aegis are going, yeah, no, nothing to do with us. Back away, love. No, this. Mate, they're trying to hold him back, and he's had one or two many shandies, and he's right at the front going, I can take you. It's very funny. It is very, very funny, and it's the beginning of a bar fight, and I love it.
So, yes, I mean, there's a potential combat CG. Is it Aegis versus Salvation? Oh, who knows? Well, on the 8th of November, ACT captures most of the Theta group. This is the people who have been responsible for the Thargoid enzyme bombings of space stations, including our beloved Lave station. However, they didn't get the leader Theta 7. So, yeah. They've made progress, but not enough. We needed them all. And just today, they have announced that there's been no progress with the Dredger deadlock. So that means that the Orion University, who have been trying to get hold of the space dredger, still haven't been able to communicate or gain entry to to the aforementioned dredger, even almost losing a couple of ships into the maw of the thing in the first place. So another couple of things to mention is that Operation Ida. Now, you would have thought that they would have started work on a lot of the stations that have been damaged. However, it does appear that there's no point actually starting to repair stations while there's even the merest presence of Thargoids. Because as soon as Thargoid Thursday flips over, that station is just redamaged and they lose all their progress. So what they're doing in the meantime, they are waiting for the Anti-Xeno initiative to clear clear the systems of the Thargoid presence, and then they're going to start moving in. In the meantime, they're preparing for their holiday haul, which is a real life GoFundMe. Which will be set up with 100% of the proceeds going directly to a good cause, with hauling and other in-game shenanigans, and they're going to let you choose the charity. So if you need to know how that is, pop over to their Discord and look in their announcements. Speaking of the Anti-Xeno initiative, we now have 9 systems which are under Thargoid attack. 7 systems still have a massive presence. 1 is down to significant. And finally, Astropi is almost clear. The AXI staff has issued an Operation Milnio. Its objective is to hammer the Thargoids, see what they've done there, over the course of a week on their 2 active fronts, which is the Witchhead and the Pleiades. They're quoted as saying, "Our stance as a group and a hub is to provide assistance to the systems under siege. The AXI Eclipse, it will set course to HIP 23759, so all commanders wishing to participate, make sure you're packed with all your arsenal and board the flagship. We will give you the rank party or survivor by the end of the week, and this operation will run from now until November the 13th. So this does seem to be a lot of in-game shenanigans going on. Which does lead us to that time of the week.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, 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 a store alert. Which one will you buy?
Well, welcome back. Well, unfortunately, there's actually nothing new in the store. The Halloween sale has continued until today, so you've probably got until midnight tonight to get your discounts and all your Halloween bits for your arcs. So if you've got any spare arcs, now's the time to use them. Shan?
Have we heard anything about a Black Friday skin sale? Because if I remember, the last few years they've had a Black Friday skin sale, so I'm wondering whether they are reserving the store alerts for Black Friday. Because only a couple of weeks away, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Thursday in November. Well, last Friday in November.
So yeah, that's a couple of weeks away. So
Yeah,
I just wonder whether we'll see anything new in the store alert until then.
Would be nice.
I can't see them doing anything new in Black Friday sale.
What, like
On
you
the
can't
other
see any
hand-
like fully black outfits? Like full on stealth outfits.
Oh.
They did that with the
You
original
might-
ones, didn't they? Because there was the original Black Friday midnight black skin,
Yeah.
and people moaned because they couldn't see the ships that were killing them. So in subsequent years, they changed the Black Friday black skins to be slightly shinier.
Yeah, because I remember that, because I remember people complaining that their anaconda was being totaled by 4 eagles, all in the black skins. So, and they couldn't, and basically they were being stealthy.
They'd have
You
to be
couldn't
running
see them.
super cool.
Oh, they did look super cool.
No, I mean they'd have to be running cold, because otherwise you just target something and who cares what skin it's got.
Well, that was a very popular build at the time because you would have your black-skinned asp in
Mhm.
silent running, loaded up with railguns.
Yep, and that's what they did with these eagles and basically railguns. So that these things would run absolutely silent, and you couldn't detect them. And the next thing you know, you had basically 4 eagles opening up on you, and your anaconda wouldn't stand a chance.
Those
Believe it or
were those were the days.
I'm going to agree with Elvis Kremen here, who wouldn't mind a black crate.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
what's
a
the
black
one
mamba.
last year?
That'd be quite good.
I don't know that there was. I
There's
feel
a
like
TCP
I feel like had there been, I would have snapped it up. So
Mm.
What would be
maybe there was.
what would be good would be the original crate look on a modern crate. You know how you've got the wireframe
Yeah,
skin
the classic
over
one,
the
like I've got
anaconda,
Cobra.
and there's
Yeah,
a wireframe crate bobblehead, isn't there?
I think there is, yes.
So a wireframe crate skin would be
That'd be
good.
nice, yeah. Yeah.
So well, I guess we'll have to see. But Black Friday soon, so hopefully we'll get some really good store alerts on Black Friday.
Well, let's hope so. Right, before we start with the discussion, Ben, do you want to go over what is a year's worth of Lave Radio?
I can do, especially seeing as we appear to be looking at an infinite witch space jump.
Oh dear,
Yeah.
the Brabin's Tunnel, as they call it.
Yeah. I don't want to know anything
You're
about
looking up.
Brayton's Tunnel, but
You're looking up Braven's Tunnel. We're looking down.
well, I was
Braven's
looking up Crash's Tunnel earlier, but that's another story. So yeah, with this being the 365th episode, I thought we'd have a
Oh, that's where you've got the year from.
we have a year's worth of Lave Radio kind of idea, seeing as this is episode 365. Which, ironically
Jeez.
enough, there's actually been 370 episodes of Lave Radio, despite the fact this is episode 365.
So where are they like the lost episodes of Doctor Who or something? You know, they're just
We've
lost
done a
in the
few-
Lave archives.
So we have done. I think we had like episode 200 A, B, and C, and we've got another couple like that as well.
Yeah, it was 300 A and B, wasn't
Yeah,
So-
Are you including the LaveCon episodes in that as well?
the real LaveCon episode, yes. I think the how can I say this
they?
the Dusty Lave Radio episodes. I don't think they've gone out as a podcast. They were just available to LaveCon attendees, and of course on the Twitch or YouTube as well.
They were the ones where it was like Eyes Wide Shut, wasn't it? Where everyone was walking around with masks and
Yeah.
strange costumes. Yeah, okay.
I think Shan's getting something mixed up
I think
here.
Shan's actually thinking about the
Personal
the
fantasy,
LaveCon-
personal fantasy.
possibly personal fantasy, but I think he might be thinking about the ambassador's reception on Friday nights, which is you're invited to cosplay to it, which might be what Shan's thinking about. And if it
I've
isn't
never
what
been.
Shan's thinking about, I really don't know if I want to know.
No,
Maybe I was
No.
getting mixed up with Dockers. I don't know.
That's also
no,
quite
you
possible.
can never get mixed up with Dockers.
Yeah, but I could also see Dockers involving masks and things.
Anyway,
Um,
you've got some running times for us.
Yes. We've made over 710 hours of content, which is I think
Sorry, Ben.
yeah.
Sorry, Ben. I'm going to dispute that figure.
I'm not going to say quality content, just content.
Okay, yeah. Just noise. 710 hours of noise.
Yes. We have done episodes of the Conclave, which we keep meaning to do again. Which that's sort of like meant to be like a community get a bunch of people together and let's have a natter on a topic.
Yeah,
It's just
problem
the right
is we've got.
pain in the butt organising everybody.
Well, yeah, because it's surprisingly how passionate people get on this, and we end up having to keep them apart, stopping fights happening.
But also, when they get passionate, it's like, as Psychic found out the other day, you even get a couple of people talking about one topic, and it's you go through a quarter of the content you actually planned on, didn't you?
Oh yes.
So it's a very hard thing to run and to organise. Plus, we can barely arrange our own lives, let alone arranging anyone else's. But we really should do one again. And speaking of another thing, we really should do again. We also did Retro Lave, which was that was kind of Colin and my gateway drug, I guess you could say, wasn't it, Colin?
It was, yes. We started doing that, and that's where I got the reputation of being a librarian, because I seem to have memorised every single flight manual for every single space sim up until.
I think this needs to be put to the test, Colin. I think you made a claim there. I think we need to test it.
Oh God! Okay.
So next week we'll have a mastermind contest for Colin for, let me see, original Elite Classic, Starglider.
No, not Starglider. I didn't do Starglider. Oh, I did Starglider too.
Yep, Privateer.
Okay.
You are coming up with these questions, aren't you, Shan?
I will think of some questions, yes.
Okay.
And I promise you...
Privateer 2, I-War 2.
Wing Commander?
Wing Commander 1 through 4. And Wing Commander Armada, which, controversially, I still think is the best one. Oh, that shut you up. Yeah,
I was trying to think whether actually Wing Commander Armada was actually any good or not, whether I thought it was any good. Anyway. Oh yes, Crash has got a good one. We should ask Colin what the first letter of paragraph 3 on page 67 of the Frontier Chapter 2 manual is. So Colin, you can be our own walking, talking, piracy
breaker. That's a little bit too much, but okay. You can have a laugh with that.
Who else was involved in Retro Lave, Colin? It was you, me, Cow.
Simon Wynnard.
Oh yeah, Wynnard was there. I forgot about Wynnard. God.
Jarvis turned up and did a couple, and so did Mr. Stabler. I think.
Did Vigor ever show up, or Crash?
Yeah. I think Crash did a couple. Oh, Vigor, definitely. There's a voice from the past. God, he was 14 when it all started, and he's now.
Isn't he married or something now?
It makes you feel so old. It really does.
Well, he was 14 when it started, and now his voice is broken. What's that what you're going to say?
No,
and his parents weren't they sort of sitting in the bar, like letting him do his thing, but we've got our 14-year-old son and all these strange men.
Yes, Ben.
God. And Flossie. Yes. And of course, the first time we met Flossie, we all thought that she was someone's mum and she was looking after him.
And then we found out she was worse than the rest of us put together.
Yes. Okay. Episode 1 was released on the 22nd of February 2013.
Indeed.
6 months before the first Guard Frequency episode. Got to point that out. Not scoring points at all. Anyway, they were doing Star Citizen at the time. Yeah. Original hosts, obviously Fozzer, Alan, John Stabler, and Chris Jarvis. We have some retired hosts, which, of course, we got Crash, who's in the chat room at the moment, but he likes to guest from time to time. Lisa Vu, who's now in Seattle working for Nintendo, of all things. We've got obviously Cal. Now Cal's he still helps out with LaveCon, and
Cal still helps out everywhere.
Yes, he did. We know.
Cal is LaveCon.
Yeah, Cal just hides in the background.
Yes. Dr. Toxic, who's we'll give a sympathetic wave to Dr. Toxic. We know he's had a little bit of bad news, and we hope it's not as bad as we all think it is. And of course, Commander Souverain, who is still publishing stuff, and at this moment is being a snotty little goblin in D&D.
I heard he was having children.
You heard? Oh, do you think that's why he's left? Because he decided that he's...
Yes, because he was so anti-children, anti-baby on the show. I think the Suvette. I think the Suvette became with child, so he could no longer show his face. So that's why.
Yeah.
Either that, who regarded the Store Alert song as the pinnacle of his Lave Radio career and decided to leave at the top.
I actually think it probably is closer to that, because it's the best thing to ever happen, and yeah, if you're gonna go at the top.
Right, obviously there's LaveCon. Now that's run by HWS, which is married by both Karen and Alan. Now we have been supported by Frontier in the past, including awesome shipskins. Now we had one in 2013 at Cheltenham Spa, where we had Michael Brooks turn up, and we discovered the wonderful game of Buckaroo. 2014 Kettering Conference Centre, which I think that was my first one. Yes, the retro Lave on that one was fun.
Snowswell's first one.
Yeah. Also, since then, we've been at the Sedgebrook Hall Hotel near Northampton, which is all. We know it's a little bit out of the way, but it's actually really worth it. Because a nice part of the country.
It's a lovely venue.
And the staff there, they can't do enough for you.
And they actually like us, don't they? For some reason.
Yeah.
Whether or not
dry every year, of course they like us.
Well, whether or not Karen and Alan feed them onion head every year, I'm not sure, but they do seem to like us.
Yeah, they even have members of staff actually come back when they find that we're turning up, which is weird. Unfortunately, due to present world circumstances, obviously it's been online only this year and the previous year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if you're triple jabbed.
It'll be quadruple jabbed by the time that comes around.
Oh, God, the way it's going, yeah. Yes.
Oh, there's going to be pills, apparently, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, but they're only if you got it. They're not a vaccination pill.
Oh, right, okay. So the pills if you have it.
Yeah, if you test positive, apparently you take a pill, and yeah. Anyway,
take one before bedtime, you'll be fine.
I'd just like to point out to Little Biggian, when we mean retired, we don't mean as in Blade Runner retired. Okay? they're fine.
Oh, Crash is Crash.
Crash is living proof.
Hang on, wait. If we're taking anybody round the back to shoot them, I want to be the one to do the shooting.
Have you just threatened to kill Crash?
No.
How do people know that Crash landing in Twitch just now is actually the real Crash?
Yeah, it could just be an AI. A chatbot. A Chinese chatbot. There we go. That's who he is.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's effectively Lave Radio for the last... How many years is it now? 2013? 8? 7.5?
7.5 years.
7? No. It's more than that. It's 8.5.
Whatever.
Bloody
We're doing
hell.
Stradivarius mathematics again.
I'd completely forgotten about
that. Sorry, Alan, if I've reminded anyone.
Oh, damn! Yeah. Anyway, you can tell he's an English lecturer, English professor, and not a maths professor. Anyway, moving on. I think what we'll do is we'll take a short break and then we'll come back with our main discussion.
We buy any ship,
bar none.
we buy any ship,
Bar none. Any model, any colour, any shape, any size,
we buy any ship.
bar none. We here at We Buy Any Ship Bar None are ready to take your excess space travel vehicles off your hands. No more negotiating with dodgy space station vendors. We'll simply give you an estimated quote online. Then, when you get here, we'll point out all the little dents and scratches that make the price get smaller and smaller before we actually give you any money. And the beauty is, we take any ship,
We buy any ship.
bar none. Terms and conditions apply. We Buy Any Ship excludes trading in any of the following vehicles: Adder, Anaconda, Asp, Boa, Cobra, Constrictor, Cruisers, Eagle, Falcon, Gecko, Griffin, Gear, Harris, Harrier, Hawk, Kestrel, Crate, Lanners, Lifters, Lions, Mantis, Merlin, Moray, Osprey, Panther, Puma, Python, Saker, Sidewinder, Skeet, Spar, Stowmaster, Tearsel, Tiger, Transporter, Turner, Viper, Wyvern, or any Imperial or Thargoid vessels.
You've flown ships at max speed. You've felt the power of the 30 megawatt mining laser. You've experienced the efficiency of the MB4 mining machine.
Wow.
But it leaves every hardcore miner with just one question.
Why can't I get a shave that's that fast, close, and efficient?
Introducing the Saracen MB5 shaving drone.
It's so smooth.
Combining the power of a mining laser with the convenience of a drone.
It's like every hair is targeted by a fighter and destroyed.
Saracen's patented shaving drone attaches to your face at the start of the day. Leave it to do its work, and when you come back to check, your face is shaved.
He's so smooth.
It's like I'm mining my face.
The Saracen MB5 shaving drone.
Now I feel manly.
Saracen Shaving, making shaving an unnecessary adventure.
Hi, I'm Trent Stephen Findless Jr., and I'm here to tell all you pilots about a great new service. Take a listen to my friend, Pete.
My name's Pete, and I'm a long-distance haulier. I drive a Puma, shipping farm machinery from Leasty to Saweo. I love my family, and I don't mind being a hard-working blue-collar dad, but I'm tired of seeing my family grow old in front of my eyes. Every time I make the run there and back, I lose 15 days in hyperspace. My family is starting to notice that they're getting older, and I'm not. My wife had a baby last week. I did a week of shifts, and now my kid's got teeth. I wish there was some way my family could get old at the same speed as me.
There is, Pete.
How?
By buying into my new service, Findlist Cryogenics. We aim to put the freeze on the premature aging of your family. The process is simple.
Our unique family centres allow you to drop off your loved ones on the way to work. Simply hire the number of cryogenic pods you need and keep your family asleep while you fly among the stars. We ensure synchronicity with your flight patterns so they spend the same time awake that you spend in the cockpit.
And when you get home, bingo! Your family is the same age as you. Never lose family time in hyperspace again. We guarantee that you'll never miss another birthday, anniversary, or funeral.
Wow, Trent, that sounds great. Where do I sign?
Simply put your credit card details into our special webpage under the hashtag WeFreezeYourLove. We'll take care of the amounts, no need to worry about that.
It's so simple. I can't wait to keep my family in a secure block of ice. It's a weight off my mind.
Findlist Cryogenics, now at your local spaceport.
Findlist Cryogenics, because the family that grows old together goes cold together.
And welcome back. Well, our main topic for this evening is probably quite a familiar one. Engineering. Now, this has happened because Bruce put up a notice on Friday that they would like a focused feedback thread, that they'd like our opinions on balancing ship engineering and material gathering. Now, this came absolutely out of nowhere. I didn't think they'd be wanting to make another pass at engineering, but it looks like we've got yet another attempt at this. This is going to be their third shot at engineering. Now, they have said that they wanted to reignite the series of balancing changes that started before Odyssey's release. Now, they'd like our feedback on the number of these aspects involved. They'd like to look at the balancing of the engineering, and they call this the grind. So, as far as material gathering is concerned...
Are we not allowed to play that clip now, Colin?
What clip?
The clip I shared earlier about the grind.
No.
No. No.
It's family friendly. It was on Family Guy.
Whoa! Don't make... Just because it's got family in the title doesn't mean it's family friendly, Sunshine.
It is not family friendly. And you aren't... Ladies and gentlemen, you should be aware that Ben is back.
Malarkey.
You never managed to get me and Shan to agree on something so quickly.
And even the sidekick agrees, which shows you how bad it is.
It was a brilliant clip and all about the grind. Different kind of grind, but it's still the grind.
Right, moving on. There's obviously material gathering, which they've broken down into 3 subjects: availability and time required, alternative gathering methods, and rolling for engineering improvements. And then they've put this other feedback and suggestions section. Now, I've had a quick look over what they're wanting, and personally, I think they've kind of missed the point. The problem that I've always had with engineering is the balancing of the ships after you've finished your engineering, not the actual engineering grind itself. Am I the only one who thinks that?
No. So I know I said I want to go last, but you've asked the question, so
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go in a bit more detail a bit later on, but yes, I think the issue is with... Because I've read through all 30 odd pages of it, and it seems as though people generally want an I win button, and they seem people seem fixated on the idea that more powerful ships, more jump range, more shields, more everything makes more fun content. And I would disagree with that assertion. But anyway.
Right. Well, let's take each of these sections in part. First of all, availability and time required. People want to obtain these materials as fast as possible. Materials with grades 1 to 3 are typically traded down from grade 4 and 5s. To make them worthwhile to gather by themselves, should their availability and the rate which they are obtained be increased. Similarly, grade 5 materials can be traded down into grade 3 4 materials within the same category. However, grade 4 and 5 materials take similar amounts of time to gather together. So should the number of materials be picked up, for instance, be increased to account for this? It says, we're also aware that some materials are much harder to find than others and are rather tied to rarer BGS states. Can you let us know which materials ought to be made more readily discoverable? And they want estimates of how many... how often it takes to get all these grade 5 materials. So that's how they say that these things are happening at the moment. Most people are effectively looking for grade 4 and 5s and then getting all the grades 1s to 3 when they grind down. Should people have more access to grade 4 and 5s?
Yes. However, that does come with a huge caveat.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, my understanding is I don't grind for engineering materials at all anymore because ain't nobody got time for that, and you can do it relatively passively, all right. And I do a lot of trading up as well, which isn't possibly the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
But when you're collecting materials passively, the likelihood is that you have an excess of like the lower grade materials, so you can trade up while still doing stuff that you enjoy.
Yes.
That said, I know a few people who are like, okay, I need to do the engineering grind, or I need to top up my grade 5 materials, so I have to switch back into Horizons to be able to do it successfully. And I'm talking about the crystal shards here,
Right.
which were a really, really good way for commanders to go out, not have to worry about relogging all the time, a la Jameson Memorial or something along those lines, and actually go out, play the game as intended. And that's now a loop that is missing to them.
Yeah.
So if that is something that they want to have missing to them, I'm very much of the opinion that if instead of being in like sets of 3, they were maybe in sets of 5, that might soften the blow a little bit for there not being crystal shards. Do you know what I mean? When you pick something up and you get 3 of them, basically.
Yeah.
If you could pick something up and then get 5 of them, that might soften the blow a little bit for them. And it would stop making some steps into making that grind a little bit more palatable for those people who are like the anti-Xeno crew and those who need those hugely engineered ships, and they need a crap ton of a synthesis as well to do what they need to do.
Fair enough. I like that. Shan?
Going on this particular topic, I'm of the personal view that repetitive gameplay or repetitive actions does not equal engaging gameplay. So I think what we're seeing with people saying, oh, we need to have this way of getting materials or that way of getting materials, what they're actually saying is the gameplay loops that are there to gather materials, they're finding unfun and boring, so they want to shorten it. So it almost doesn't matter what mechanic they choose, it has to be engaging, entertaining, challenging from beginning to end, because otherwise what will happen is you'll get, oh yes, you'll have 5 this time, then someone will say, well actually 7 is a better number, then it's 9, then it's whatever. You're on a treadmill that you never ever get off again once you start down that particular loop. So I think they should be focusing on making the gathering of these materials more engaging than simply bumping the numbers.
But bumping the numbers up would probably be a start.
Yeah, well, but that, thankfully, very kindly, Shan, has actually just led me straight into point number 2, which was alternative gathering methods. Now, there they've said, we appreciate that the repetitive nature of material gathering may not be for everyone. Some have called for ways to earn materials while engaged in the specific type of content they enjoy. We'd like to hear your feedback about the idea of unique missions offered by the engineers themselves. These could be repeatable and offer materials specific to the upgrades offered by the engineer who issues them. Let us know what you think of this idea and how many materials you might think might offer relative to the gathering of the materials manually. The other idea is to allow materials to be bought with items that are not available at commodity markets. These includes things such as exploration data, bounty vouchers, void opals and Thargoid hearts, and that would allow players to earn materials while playing for their chosen disciplines. Well, I must admit, I am quite intrigued about the unique missions offered by engineers themselves. There's been a lot of people who've basically cried out for, I don't know, a little mission packs or something like that, which link into the engineers. So, you run these 3 or 4 missions for the engineer, and you will get materials that you can use for upgrades as rewards. Shan?
Yes, on the subject of engineering missions for void opals, Thargoid hearts and stuff like that, is you'd need to make the materials mission specific, because otherwise people would just load their carrier up with void opals, Thargoid hearts and whatever, bump the price up, and then you'd be bypassing the missions. You'd just be going to someone's fleet carrier and buying.
Oh, no, that you misunderstand there, Shan. That's the other idea. It's separate. So basically, what they're saying is they've got one idea, which is these missions which are offered by the engineers, where you would get materials as the rewards, or you trade in exploration data, bounty vouchers, void opals for materials, they're not mutually exclusive.
No, I wasn't saying they were. I was focusing on a possible way around the engineering missions where I don't know you get 3 escape capsules for Etienne Dawn, and he gives you a void opal for the materials. You could quite easily go to someone's fleet carrier, not do the escape capsules, and just buy the void opal.
No,
why
but
is
you
he,
wouldn't.
So why is he giving you void opals? I thought he was
Yeah,
giving you
I'm
engineering
confused there.
materials.
Because if you give your stuff to Etienne Dawn, he won't give you void opals. He'll give you the materials that you need for him to do some work.
Right. So are they saying then the void opals and whatever we talk about is not going to be an engineering material? It's
not an engine. No, you can trade them for materials.
Void opals are just a commodity. They're not an engineering material.
Yeah, they're saying the other idea is to allow materials to be bought with items that are not available at commodities markets, such as exploration data, void opals, stuff that you can mine but you can't buy.
But you could if you put your void opals in a carrier. Anyway, let's go. Let's move on. I obviously need to think about that one some more.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about the idea of having these sort of missions linked to the engineers? Is this one of the things that people have been crying out for ages?
I think so, but it depends on the nature of the missions, I guess, because in of themselves the missions can become repetitive, and I suppose everything can. So, I mean, do you remember when modular terminals used to be a thing? But the grind for modular terminals used to take forever, didn't it? Do you remember that?
It does ring a bell, but it's been that long ago.
And now modular terminals are such a common reward. Doing the mission is trivialized. Modular terminals.
Yes, I've got you. Yeah, I remember that now because you only used to get them from Sirius or something daft like that, which is really difficult.
Yeah.
Crash is having a breakdown because he's just been reminded how difficult it was. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with the idea of these extra missions offered by the engineers. It just, I don't know, it just gives me a little smack of theme park MMO instead of sandbox.
Why is that? Why?
Because it's the same little mini. The one thing that I used to love and hate about Star Wars Galaxies is in order to get a certain spaceship, you would run through these 3 or 4 missions. And you'd always go through those 3 or 4 missions. There wasn't any variety to them. And I think that I don't think they've got a system flexible enough to dynamically give you more variety for doing those unique missions. They'd have to do a kind of set little mini campaign, which if you play again and again and again gets immersion breaking.
I mean,
that's kind of the same with everything, though, isn't it? Like everything in Elite sort of continues towards you unlocking blueprints, for example, being one of them. It is the same thing. The same thing, the sort of over and over again. You repeat the same process. It's like that little mini game. I'm struggling. I guess I'm struggling to see the difference. That's all.
There's definitely a difference because what I was thinking about the engineering process in general is people blame Frontier for the engineering stuff, but the reality was actually players wanted a way of getting more jump range or better work. So the pressure was on Frontier, I believe, to do something with the existing ship to increase power, ability, whatever you want to call it. And they responded by the concept of engineers. But I think the misstep perhaps they took under peer pressure was they went for a vertical gear-based progression system rather than a horizontal progression system. So what you've got ever since the engineering was first done is you've got a power creep of we need more jump range. Oh, we need more jump range. Or we need shields. Oh, we need more shields. And what actually that ends up doing is it throws the entire balance of the game, not only in PvP, but also PvE, right out of kilter. Because you then have to have enemies that can suddenly take on the fully engineered Corvette, or you then need to ramp up something to counterbalance the gear that the players have grinded for. And once you get on the vertical progression system, you then enter into, if you like, an arms race between the players with lots of times who can stomach lots and lots of repetitive action versus the new player who finds themselves suddenly outclassed because they weren't there at the start. And I know, Colin, you mentioned this before, but I think there's a choice they should put to the community: is do you want us to rebalance engineering, or do you want us to go along the same route? But Colin, I know you spoke this earlier, didn't you, about your idea for engineering?
Yeah, but I was going to come to that at the very end. But yeah, the other thing that they wanted to talk about was the actual rolling for engineering improvements. Now, for those of you that remember the first time they did engineering, it was horribly RNG. You were lucky if you managed to get one special effect on your laser. Now, with this version, the RNG is reduced quite a lot. However, they're now thinking they want to remove the RNG completely, so that when you are doing engineering improvements, you know that it'll take this many attempts to go from grade 2 to 3, and this many engineer attempts to go from grade 3 to 4. I mean, do you think that's better than just watching the...
No.
You don't?
Yes.
You prefer the random?
No.
Okay, we'll go Shan first and then Psychic.
Oh, no. Well, Psychic is...
No, you can by all means.
Okay. My reason for saying no is, well, if cast your mind back to the original idea for engineers, is that these were experimental scientists who fiddle with things, and what you ended up isn't maybe what you wanted, but it would be something like what you wanted. That was the original reason behind the RNG role. They then got into the you always get a better role than what you wanted, than what you did last time. It would just take a varying amount to get there, and that still uses that same concept of it's experimental science, and although you'll get there in the end, sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. A bit like overclocking a processor or a graphics card. But the reason I say no is because by the time you've got down to you'll always get this result X number of times, you may as well give people a number of points they can put into something, and maybe, I don't know, they'll decide to increase the jump range, and that will have the effect of this. So by the time you get around to certainty, you may as well have an attribute point system, which means you can then tune it precisely to what you want.
Right. Fair enough. Psychic.
Okay, I will take that system that allows me to tune it to what I want. Thank you. That'd be great. I don't see a problem with that. You're talking about making this easier for those players who don't have the time to put a massive time sink into Elite. If they know exactly what materials that they need to get, rather than, oh, I think I might need 10 of this, something like that. That's ideal. That's going to really help the more casual player and might get them more interested in things that require engineering and more interested in furthering themselves in the game, rather than it being something that just because we didn't have it that way doesn't mean that it's not a good idea.
Yeah.
Colin, can I ask another question of people? I know Ben's been quiet as well, but
yeah, well, Ben and Crash are thrashing out their differences in a conflict zone at the moment.
All right,
so.
okay. The question I've got then is: do we see engineering as an enabler, it allows you to do things easier than maybe you wouldn't, you didn't do previously. Is it an enabler, or is it an objective?
Well, this is a thing. I think if you want to take on the big bads, which will be Thargoids and Guardians, I think you are going to need engineered ships. And I know people have said, "Oh, you don't need to be engineered." I've managed to take out a Medusa and unengineered Adder. You're a git, but not that many people have that level of skill or time to practice for that skill. So they're going to need a leg up with the engineering. It's just, I think, well,
the point about that. Sorry.
Oh, no, go on, Sean.
No, the point about that is you enter into a gear treadmill where, well, you played MMOs as well, Colin. You know that you get to level 70 in WoW, and then the next one comes out. Oh, it's level 80, and you need to have a gear check before you can go into a dungeon, because the dungeon is tuned such that people who haven't got the right gear can never do it. And it becomes, as I said, an arms race between people who consume the content quicker than others, and then the developers need to up the ante. It's like in movies or comics or anything like that. Is that you have the first one and they have a big bad, and they defeat the big bad, and then in the sequel they have to go bigger or nasty or whatever just to keep people interested. And you're forever on it has to be bigger, it has to be badder, it has to be more powerful. Otherwise, people won't engage. And in my mind, that's a no-win scenario for a developer, and probably even for a player, to go down that vertical progression route. And once you get on there, it's virtually impossible to get off it.
Yeah. Yes, we're kind of going round on the same points again, because, well, it's one of these things. Effectively, do we want the engineering grind to be less? In other words, to get newbie players up to the same level as a veteran player as quickly as possible. It's like what they've done with credits. It's incredibly easy to get an A-rated ship these days. I mean, right in the very beginning, it took us weeks to get something decent, and now you can get it in an afternoon.
But that's always the same with any game. There was a comic series. What's it called? The Nerd something? I can't remember what it's called now. But anyway, there was a comic, and I've got it saved on my disc somewhere, where they start off with a dungeon, and it's like thousands of dead bodies of players trying to get to it, and then eventually one group conquers the dungeon, conquers the boss, and then they tell others how to do it, so a few more people learn it. And then the developers are inundated with complaints from players. Oh, we can't do this. It's too hard. You're blocking our content. You're whatever. So they change it. And the said huge dungeon monster, which turned out to fill the entire screen, is now about something the same size as a cat, because it's been nerfed. So it's always the same, as that once you get to a certain point and you find out how to do it, there's a YouTube video, there's a tutorial. So the challenge then gets less and less and less until that content becomes trivial. And at that point, that's when they up the ante again. And yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as Crash has already pointed out, catch-up mechanics does seem to be a thing where they've got to have a way for newbies to get up close to where the veterans are. Otherwise, the game kind of becomes, pardon the pun, too elitist.
You see, that I think that's the error I think that happened with engineering. It is they went on this more powerful treadmill. They didn't have a set amount of damage limit. They didn't have a limit on jump range. They didn't have a limit on shield strength.
Mm-hmm.
And the differentiator when you have a hard limit like that is player skill, not player gear.
Yeah. No, it's funny you should mention that. You asked what I put onto the forums. Now, ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves, because this is probably something that's very rare that Shan will probably and I will probably agree with, right? I put that there are three ideas that I think people would like. One, having chained or scripted engineer missions to increase your influence within engineer or to get their mats. Other ones is making more of the rare materials available in high numbers as mission rewards. I also had an idea that perhaps maybe we should start getting mats as rewards from CQC. There's a shocker. And my controversial one was allowing players to trade materials with each other at fleet carriers. That put the cat amongst the pigeons. But okay, I will admit that Shan came up with this idea first, but I do agree with him. I did say that the one thing that people won't like is that I want them to nerf the power plant and the power distributor. And the idea behind this is that the balance at the moment is too strong for these modules. You got engineering shears, which are too powerful even for engineered weapons. Engineered power distributors means that FDLs can permanent boost all the time, and it does lead to still boring and often one-sided encounters between both the NPCs and the players. You cut the power plant, and basically then you are forced to make decisions about your build. Am I not right, Shan?
I'm absolutely right. I'm sorry. Yes, Colin, you are. I mean, if you think about it, it's possible now in game to get a ship that's hugely strong defensive measures, along with hugely powerful offensive measures. And as soon as you get that situation where there's no longer a decision between defense or damage or even CC, then everyone then runs the same build and the same variation. It's why ships like the Third Lance are so popular in PvP, because with an engineered power plant, you can do both. Why do I need to choose between a glass cannon when I can have both? Why do I need to choose between a ship that would jump 80 light years or one that has all the gear? I don't need to. I can do both. It's the power plant that's at the fundamental of any imbalance in the ships in Elite, if you think about it. Because back before we had engineering power plants, you used to have to fine-tune your modules to keep within the power, maybe even do your priorities for your modules. So some would turn off when you deployed your weapons and all things like that. A engineered power plant takes away all those choices.
Okay, Ben.
It's not just weapons and defense, though. It's also it fundamentally changes the role, or at least the intended role, of a lot of ships. For example, we get ships like, let's take it old school, like the Vulture, and that was meant to be a drag racer essentially. It's really fast, one direction, but it doesn't turn worth a dime. And it was combated, sort of sent up against the Eagle, which is a bit slower, but a lot more maneuverable.
That wasn't the Vulture.
No,
the
Viper,
Vulture
sorry,
was...
Viper.
Yeah,
Viper.
the Viper. Okay.
Sorry. So it was Viper versus Eagle, or Vulture versus Mamba, I think, was the next one up. And again, the Mamba was meant to be good in a straight line, can't turn for shit. All of a sudden, you go off and you get the right engineered distributor, and your Mamba is able to turn on a hairpin because it's perma-boosting everywhere.
That's right, because when the Vulture first came out, do you remember trying to build the Vulture to do anything?
It was a bloody nightmare.
Yeah, because the power plant was limiting it.
Yeah, and as Colin says, it's the power plant and the distributor they're fundamentally change the roles of ships.
Yeah.
And the ships are all the ships are all balanced into the role they're meant to have before engineering came along and just changed so you can have your cake and eat it too.
I also I also think if you nerf the power plant, per se, it's the minimum amount of player disruption for the maximum amount of rebalancing. Because if you think about it, if you nerf the weapons, if you nerf the shield boosters and whatever you call it, there's an awful lot of grind that goes into making those. Where if you change the power plant, you then make a sorry, do I put my shield boosters into storage? Do I still get my overcharged beam lasers, etc.? So it doesn't negate what you've done before by changing the power plant. It just means you have to decide what to equip when.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that this would mean was it would mean that Frontier wouldn't just have to rebalance the power plant. It would mean that they would actually have to rebalance the Thargoid and the engineered NPC combat down a notch, because at the moment those things are basically engineered. They've planned it so that, you know, if you are going up against an elite rated pilot, that pilot has engineered objects on there. They've got engineered modules on there. So if we do implement the power plant nerf, if you like, it means that those ships will have an unfair advantage, and they're going to have to spend time balancing that out. And I don't know whether or not Frontier are willing to do that.
Or you just make them group content, or need 4 people in multi-crew.
Anyway, Psychic, you got any opinions?
I've got lots and lots of opinions.
Go for it.
I understand. I do understand where you're coming from. Power plant, nerf the power plant. But like, you're saying that now. But then we nerf them. Frontier nerfs the power plant, and then a year down the line, there's another thing that you're wanting to nerf, because it'll be something else that's OP, that's ruining the whole game mechanic.
Don't worry, Psychic. If I had my way, they'd rip out engineering altogether.
And I would stop playing the fucking game. But it's like... You do all sound like a lot of old men going, "Oh, we had it a lot harder back in our day," that kind of thing. And
we are old men.
I know it sounds a little gatekeeping. All I'm getting is a lot of gatekeeping, and I mean, I know that's not your intention. I absolutely know that isn't your intention. However, it sounds a little bit like that. So we released on Monday. We released an episode of Flight Assist where we spoke to a commander who has a very limited amount of time to play, and he plays in like half-an-hour loops, and all of his ships are fully engineered because he has found specific game loops that allow his ships to be fully engineered. So it is possible, even with a very short amount of time and a section, to engineer your ships entirely. So, well, he uses a lot of stuff. It does feel a little gatekeepy when you're saying nerf this or do something like this, because back in the day it was a lot harder.
I'm not saying it was a lot harder. I'm actually saying it was more enjoyable.
In your opinion, I really enjoy it now.
I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. There used to be this feeling of, you know, rock paper scissors, which actually really worked quite well. You could have a maneuverable fast ship that was reasonably armed, or you had basically a tank that could soak up the damage, but you couldn't do all of it. And it is pretty much like nowadays you can do all of it, and it feels like it's lost some of it.
So you still want to be able to use the ships as they were intended to. So you want to be able to use the Vulture or whatever ship it was for drag racing, which is definitely a mechanic that is in the game right now.
No, what I really want to use? I want to use the power distributor again properly.
Okay.
I want to be able to, in order to win a fight, it's the case of not only pilot skill, but knowing when to apply power to what system at what time. And that particular bit has gone missing, and it does take a little bit of extra skill to do it. Now, that's not to say that it's quite ironic because I never do it. Yet I know I should. It is quite interesting because when you actually go, I can't believe it. This has happened because Commander Chigs just said play CQC, and that's exactly what I was going to recommend. Is you go and play CQC, which doesn't have any engineering modules in it, and you find that you're having to flip the power left, right, and center to get the best out of that fighter. I'm finding that a heck of a lot more enjoyable than than going up and against a Fer-de-Lance and just constantly perma boosting and trying to. It feels like it's whoever gets the tightest turn wins, and sometimes you didn't need that before because you'd always have a trick up your sleeve with being able to shunt the power at the right moment.
So now when it becomes when the ships are more evenly matched, it's now a case of pilot skill. Is that what you're saying?
But it's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, right, if you had, say, two Fer-de-Lances against each other, both scripted to the entire thing, at the moment in time, the way the things go is that people just go straight at each other. They launch round, and most times it's basically who. You don't need to worry about what you're doing with power because you've got that much power. You might as well have had 4 pips and everything. If they cut that down so that effectively you don't have enough power for everything, it means that you're having to use your power distributor as you're fighting in order to make sure when they're firing at you, you've got your shields and 4 pips so that their weapons don't do as much damage to you. And then when they've gone flat, you can then just basically flip through to full power to weapons. And knowing the point of when to do that is part of the skill. And I think that skill's been lost.
Okay.
You don't sound convinced.
I don't. I'm not convinced, but that's fine. You're more than entitled to your opinion, Colin.
Okay, we'll pop over to Shan quickly.
Well, I was going to follow on from what your explanation, Colin, which I thought was pretty good, actually. I think where I'm coming from.
I got lost, I thought.
No, well, I said pretty good. Where I'm coming from in this is in other games I've played, and I kind of get what you were trying to get at, Si, about the gatekeeper thing. I'm not saying I wish it was like it was, and therefore I want it. What it's as a game gets older, people understand more about the game, so therefore what was once difficult is easier. And when a developer listens to people, to new players, and you're absolutely right, new players do need a way of being able to catch up, and other games have mechanics to help with that. But anyway, since we're talking about engineering and shipbuilding, where I'm coming from is there was a skill, and it's been lost through the boosting of the power plant, where you only had a certain number, which was your power, and you had to make a choice and know the game mechanics, know the weapons, know the modules to know whether or not it was worthwhile sticking with a D-class scanner or whether you should go to an A-class scanner, which would give you a better gimbal lock and things like that. You had to know the compromises in your head to be able to optimize the ship, what you're trying to do. Now it's so if you can think of game balance using limited resources, is just like trying to pick a lock with a lockpick. Finesse, technique, knowing the lock, etc. Now in Elite, it's largely about putting a stick of dynamite to the door and blowing the down doors off.
Right, okay. Straight over to Ben.
Just a quick idea that might might be worth doing. Possibly for all of us, actually. How about we try some proper PvP combat in A-rated Vultures and Eagles, but no engineering on them? I think, and then you can compare that to just see how you feel flying those ships and engaging in that kind of combat in a fair environment, because obviously it would suck ass if you were to go off and take it in A-rated, even an A-rated ship and put it against a fully engineered ship.
Actually, it's not CQC, Shan. CQC ships.
That's why, they're SLFs.
Yeah.
And they're also balanced around that, but I'm just thinking it could be fun to do purely A-rated, non-engineered ship combat, to try it out, to see if we're looking at it from a rose-tinted spectacle. Are we right? Is engineering better? And is it actually more fun to have your cake and eat it?
We've done we have done stuff like that, but I've been like part of PvP events where stuff like that's been done before. Exegius used to have one like pretty regularly. He used to do like his I can't remember what it was called. It was Sidewinder something, but then you'd go through all of the small ships and none of them would be engineered.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, because I've normally found unengineered small ships are a lot more fun than the big ones.
I totally agree. Small ships are more fun than big ones, engineered or otherwise, but that's another story.
Do we think that this desire to get back to basics is part of the attraction why people like resetting their save? And they always say, "Oh, it was great until they got my Anaconda." Do you know when people reset their save and they start again, and they say the starting experience, until they get to a certain point, that's the most fun in Elite. That is the most fun. Do you think part of it's that?
Well, I will admit that one of the reasons I've spent so much time in the CQC, the power play commander this time, is because he's only mostly harmless. He's only flying around in a Cobra, and I'm basically building the commander back up again. And I must admit, I'm thoroughly enjoying that. But then again, I'm doing it old school. I'm not going for to try and maximize my credits. I'm going for enjoyment. Anyway, Psychic, we're going to let you have the last word.
Whoa! Are you hang on, wait a second, Shan, are you sure there's nothing else that you need to say? Guys, you need to wait for a second. Just double check.
He said enough. It's your turn.
Okay. Well, okay. I personally feel like things that have been said are seem to me to be a little bit gatekeepy. I personally feel like it's a really good idea that they are looking at engineering in general and that these conversations are being had, because it's really important to still continue looking at the ship engineering, even though on-foot engineering is so much more broken.
Well, that was something I was going to ask, actually, is are they coming onto it on foot?
They can better, Ben. They can better.
They have said, we know about on-foot engineering, which is why we're having it as a separate subject.
Fair enough, then.
Right. Okay, so that one's been handled and pushed away to the side. Don't look at that box at the side. That's the box to be opened at a later time.
I reckon we'll get. I think they're going to try and find a nice happy place. Which is a nice happy medium. I'd love to see engineering, specific engineering missions, I think would be really, really good, providing that the pay for those missions is great. Or the alternative would be like increasing influence with an engineer so that the cost is cheaper. That would be quite cool as well.
Right. Well, we're going to draw a line under it. As you can say, we've had a healthy debate over this. So we shall quickly move on to other things because, unfortunately, time is against us. In the community corner this week, well, obviously, Top Shift 130 has arrived. Update 8 has arrived, and I go into deep dive into what I think Update 8 means. which asks the big questions: are we there yet? And is Odyssey good enough for some people to come back to? And we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Second up, we have had some sad news. We have to give a shout out to Commander Plater, who had to be rushed to hospital because of cancer complications. We do hope and wish him the best, and hope that he's flying back in his spaceship soon. However, we do know how serious this issue is, and like I said, we wish him all the best. Now, for those of you who have been wondering what the Turning the Wheel initiative has been up to, Commander Wolfdragon has been updating the forums on a regular basis at the forums threads Turning the Wheel, and wow, does he go into a great deal of detail? There is a phenomenal amount of orders and expectations for you to do. They're still very busy, and we have to congratulate Commander Berkeley Baconim, who has achieved Elite 5 rank in combat, trade, exploration, mercenary, and exobiologist categories, and is complaining he's getting nothing for it. Also in today's live stream, he was personally mentioned because it does look like they've managed to verify with Dav that he's not lying. So we at Lave Radio would like to congratulate you, Commander Berkeley Buchanan, for your dedication and award, and we would like to award you the Lave Radio Special Award for the dedication to the grind, or the Golden Grinder Award, I think we're going to call it from now on. Anyone got any better ideas?
We're still not playing it, Ben.
I wasn't even going there.
Oh, but you wanted to, and that was what worries us. Did you rename Muppet of the Week? We did not rename Muppet of the Week, because, come on, that's an achievement, not a Muppetness. Our mostly clueless section. As Commander... from Domzilla2112, he highly recommends that every time you dock, you repair your integrity in advanced maintenance, as this can affect your armor, your hull, etc. Now, we found this out the hard way when we were doing... Go on, Sean.
No, it also affects how frequently you're scanned, if you remember.
Does it? I didn't know that.
Oh yes, if you've got basically a ship that's got basically wrecked paint, you will get scanned more because they think that you're a scruffy hog. Therefore,
so there's a reason for why I with my OCD go and fix the paint every time I land in a station. Cool, good to know.
Yeah, the integrity also has a small but measurable effect on hull resistance as well. So if you're flying around in a heap of junk with poor integrity, you will get damaged quicker than what you did if you didn't. You do that, and as Domzilla said, it does affect your armor, your hull, and all sorts of subsystems. So yeah. Don't be a scruff, repair your ship, and it's not as expensive anyway.
All right. In any other business, here's something that makes you feel old. Star Wars: The Old Republic. That's now 10 years old. My God.
Wow.
I know.
So's Skyrim.
Oh, what you mean? Elder Scrolls
Elder Scrolls Online, yeah.
Yeah.
That's 10.
Guild Wars 2 is 9 years old.
Everybody drink.
Yeah, I mean, I was so looking forward to Star Wars: The Old Republic, and then it came out. Oh well.
I really enjoyed it.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Stories.
I did enjoy playing through the stories. I just couldn't. Oh, as an MMO though.
I enjoyed the raids and things too.
Do you know what mechanic got me annoyed to the point, so I actually stopped playing it for Star Wars: The Old Republic?
Starfighter game. That's what did me.
No, it was the paying to repair your armor. It was your armor degrading when you died, and you then have to pay credits for it. That mechanic was only slightly better than the one in Aeon, AION, in which when you died, you lost XP.
Elvis Kremen on the chat room is saying that there's a new Mass Effect coming soon, and I hope so, because it was Mass Effect.
It looks so good, though. I'm really excited about it vicariously through everyone he's already played.
I mean, I've played through Mass Effect 3 times, from beginning to end, and I only finished the last playthrough, I think, 2 weeks before they announced the Legendary Edition. I was so annoyed.
I know I'm going to get hammered for this, but I kind of don't care. I think there are some things they should just leave it alone and just let it be. I mean, Mass Effect Andromeda was an example of that, and you say it all the time. Is that they relaunch a TV show, or Dexter. Here's the other one. They finished Dexter. Oh, Dexter's finale wasn't that great. Let's make a new Dexter. They should just leave stuff. It's had its time. Move on. Think of something else.
Actually, I've went back and played Mass Effect Andromeda, I think 6 weeks ago. Now that they've gone and updated it, it's actually quite good. It's the equivalent of actually leaving Odyssey and then coming back into Odyssey now, I think.
Okay.
Vanot is saying, bring back X-Files.
Oh,
Didn't
God.
they do that?
They've
did.
brought it back twice. No,
They had Mulder and Scully were together in the very last one, and then they broke up. I stopped paying attention.
They'll probably
It
do a
became
relaunch.
less about the thing. It became less about the aliens.
I'm even skeptical about the remake of Babylon 5, to be fair. But we'll see.
I must admit, I'm quite
JMS
excited
is still
about that one.
involved with that.
Yeah.
But it's all right.
Although-
Russell T Davies has taken back over Doctor Who. So.
I don't go there. Oh.
And the worst one is I'm scared of what Netflix is going to do to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, talking about Netflix, have you seen they've made a League of Legends cartoon series?
Have they?
Yes, I have seen that. It looks like it might be quite good.
Mrs. Shan and I watched the first episode. She plays League of Legends a lot, and if you go in there not expecting anything to do with League of Legends, it's actually pretty good. If you're expecting it to be people running to a tower and blowing a tower up or something like that, it's not that at the moment. So yeah, I've actually really enjoyed it. The animation is really good. They've got the facial expressions really well done. So yeah, quite impressed by that.
Apparently, Humble 1963 wants the X-Files back, but only if Gillian Anderson is doing her Margaret Thatcher impersonation.
There are some very worrying people in this way.
Anyway, I think we shall give our shout-outs. First of all, some questions. Alexander Coburn from YouTube gave us some feedback. He said the Store Alert song should be in the top 10 charts. We completely agree.
Which version?
I don't know. We're still waiting for the community to tell us which version they prefer.
I missed the dubstep version today. I think the dubstep.
No, nothing to do with the fact it was your suggestion then. Okay, and we also, if you have got an opinion of what engineering is, then we want to hear from you. So send it into info@laveradio.com. Always useful. So our shout-outs for this week, we of course got Dockers doing their charity Christmas special, which you can find at justgiving.com/team/Beyond Dockers. Our sister station, Hutton Orbital Radio, it broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30. Go to twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, and we know Commander Chig is in the chat, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. We're also giving shout-outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. That's Alagrab AM, Black Sky Legion, the Canon Podcast, Spanish Speakers have the Elite Cast, There's the Fatherhood podcast, Flight Assist, who was on this week?
Commander Archidog.
There we go. That's the guy who does everything in half an hour.
That's right. Yeah, relatively new commander. Very interesting conversation.
Excellent. We have the guard frequency. We also have the loose screws. Stay cheesy, Commander Chig. New Worlds with Zero Prep with Ben, Kai, and Suv. Is that still happening, Ben?
I believe so, though I've obviously been away for the past couple of weeks.
Excellent. We have Squeaking Fuel and, of course, System Chat. And for those that want a literary discussion about sci-fi and fantasy books, then there's the Data Slate podcast with Alan Stroud. Following this, we have the latest Galnet News Digest that's provided by Commander Wotherspoon and Commander Beetlejude. And we'd just like to thank everybody who has chipped in on the Twitch chat. And, of course, Commander Crash for shooting Commander Edelweiss so well on foot during the stream. I thought he was on your side, Ben.
So did I.
He did approve.
on no one's side but himself. Never trust a Crash.
He did an evil corrido.
Apparently, he chose that side all along, and then somehow Miggles and I ended up on the other side.
So there you go.
Who knows?
We'd also say special thanks to Commander Tokuso, who created the music for the introduction of the show. Has anybody got any final points they want to do before we go?
Do we know when Frontier are getting their analysis on this feedback?
No.
No ETA, no guarantee.
Yeah. Right, well, in that case, that's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can email info@laveradio.com, hit us up at facebook.com/laveradio, tweet us at Lave Radio, or you can join our Discord server by going to discord.io/laveradio. We also have a TeamSpeak server where commanders like to hang out and chat, and you can find that at teamspeak.laveradio.com. Do get in touch if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live, also on Twitch, Facebook and YouTube. So thanks to Psychit, thanks to Ben, and thanks to Commander Shan. Special thanks goes, of course, to Commander Putnik Santiago for being today's fantastic tech specialist. But until next time, Commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Is your life like this? Sounds like someone having an orange inserted. Need a safe word. Space can be done. I'm gonna see the galaxy.
Ah, damn it. No worries, guys. Hold the fort for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Galnet News Digest, 9th of November 3307. We read the news so you don't have to.
In this week's news, opposing salvation.
Better FSD bonus boosts brewer bridge building.
Watching the Thargoids.
PDB grows popular as 2 terrorist plots foiled.
The news that Admiral Tanner has defied his organisation Aegis and is now threatening Taurus Mining Ventures to try and get information about Aegis rival Salvation has been met with mixed reactions from commanders. While some welcome Tanner's apparent departure from the theoretically belligerent Aegis, others are wary of his motives and are concerned that if he's able to get the experimental weapon details from Salvation, he'll bring it obediently back to Aegis. While many commanders have supported Salvation and are keen to see what he can do to save humanity, there's also an upswelling of concern that Salvation's experimental weapon that was used to such devastating effect in the Cornsar system may serve to escalate the conflict further and bring about a more decisive and devastating Thargoid invasion of the bubble. Some, like the Allied Order of Exemplars of the California Nebula, are hopeful that there may be a way for commanders effectively to show their support for peace between Thargoids and humanity in a meaningful way, and have called for no-fire systems. Whatever the opinion, there's a broad consensus that commanders should be able to have a say in whether we want peace or war with the Thargoids, about whether Salvation should be prevented from using his experimental weapon, and about whether Salvation or Aegis is better placed to represent humanity in those difficult decisions about the terms of peaceful coexistence with the Thargoids, or, alternatively, to annihilate or be annihilated. There is currently a standoff in the T-Tauri system between Tanner's megaship Musashi and Taurus Mining Ventures' asteroid base, Hind Mine. The next chapter in the story may not be long in coming.
Brewer Corporation is reported to be delighted after all the construction materials needed for Phase 2 of the Colonia Bridge Initiative were delivered within 52 hours of the appeal starting. And it only took that long because of a shortage of materials in Colonia. The top 75% of commanders at both ends, Alcor in the Bubble and Colonia, have been promised size 3, 4 and 6 fully engineered frameshift drives as a reward for their help. It seems likely that this offer motivated many of the participants, although there was also competition for the top 10 places, as those commanders will be given the chance to name one of the static megaships that'll make up the bridge. The FSDs earned as rewards are expected to be put into storage for collection on Friday or Saturday. Commanders are reminded to take them to Felicity Farseer or Elvira Martuk to fit the Deep Charge Experimental Modification to the size 3 and 4 modules and Mass Manager to the size 5 module for the very best performance possible. Because of the rapid completion of both appeals, many commanders were unable to participate. However, equivalent size 5 frameshift drives are already available from technology brokers, so there's some hope that the new sizes will also in due course be offered for sale.
The latest Thargoid incursions have proven harder to shift than expected. 9 systems in the Pleiades and the Witchhead Nebula are currently suffering incursions. After 12 days, the Thargoids in Asterope have virtually been wiped out, and work has started on Pleiades sector PD-S B4-0, which now has a significant Thargoid presence. All the other systems continue to have a massive Thargoid presence. And there are now 4 volumes of space with non-human signal sources, more than we've had for a long time. The Pleiades Nebula has a 175 light-year bubble of NHSSs centred around Merope. The Witchhead Nebula has a 75 light-year bubble around Witchhead sector IR-W C1-9. The Coalsack Nebula has a 60 light-year sphere around Muscadart region PJ-P B6-1, and the California Nebula has a 100 light-year bubble around HIP 18390. If you want to see the current state of Thargoid incursions, head over to the new AXI site, www.thargoid.watch.
The news this week that the majority of the Theta group of NMLA terrorists have been arrested comes on the heels of news last week that thousands of members of Jupiter's Wrath have also been arrested. Both sets of arrests have in common the use of intercepted communications as a means of detection. Vice President Jerome Archer's establishment of the Proactive Detection Bureau seems finally to have paid off, and the talk of government interference in private affairs is getting drowned out by the satisfaction of citizens who are comfortable that they're not about to be bombed by the NMLA or subjected to a coup attempt by corporatist paramilitary groups. The Republican government has weathered the storm, and talk of succession is largely in the past. The Federation may soon start a charm offensive to bring recently departed factions back into the federal fold. The time of uncertainty is over. We shall have peace in our time.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News. We read the news so you don't have to. Better FSD bonus boosts Brewer Bridge building. Better FSD bonus boosts Better FSD bonus boosts Better FSD bonus boosts Brewer Bridge building.